With Liquor Barn, you can shop your favorite bourbon, that perfect bottle of wine, or discover something new. To place an order for pickup or delivery, download the Liquor Barn app, visit liquorbarn.com, or call your nearest Liquor Barn location. Follow us on social media and subscribe to our email list for all the latest news on products, promotions, and events. Liquor Barn, where Kentuckians go to celebrate life. Cheers!
James E. Pepper Barrel Proof Decanter Bourbon, distilled at the historic Pepper Distillery, DSP KY5 in Lexington, Kentucky. This new release, bottled in a striking recreated distillery decanter from the 1940s, has garnered high praise and accolades. Coming in at number 27 on Fred Minnick's Top 100 Whiskeys of 2023, it received a 94-point rating and was called absolutely delicious with notes of delicate hazelnut and toffee. Astor Wines, one of New York's most prestigious retailers, writes, "The whiskeys coming of age now are some of the finest from any American whiskey producer. This bourbon is arguably the most impressive you will find at this age. Available nationwide with a suggested retail price of $65. Learn more at jamesepepper.com.
Limestone Farms bourbons are like a secret portal to a world of rich flavors where high proof meets smooth satisfaction. Every barrel is meticulously crafted and blended with a specific message in mind. Experience clean delineated flavor profiles that will have you engaged from the first sip to the final drop, making your palate beg for just one more taste. Limestone Farms, bringing heritage home.
Welcome to the Bourbon Life Podcast, your source for all things bourbon. Join your hosts, Mark and Matt, as they drink and review bourbons, share news about upcoming events, interview the who's who in the bourbon world, and, most importantly, bring you along for the fun of living the bourbon life. Now, here's your hosts, Mark and Matt.
All right, everybody, welcome back for another episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast with the same old introduction that I do every week. I'm your host, Mark, and with me tonight here live in the Bourbon Life Studios around the flights of the round table, we've got a full house tonight. We've got my friend, well, sort of friend, Matt. Matt, how you doing down there, man?
I'm sort of okay. Thank you.
Sort of okay?
Yeah, sort of.
Busting my chops, man, just before we start the show. We got Chad sitting in with us tonight.
You do have me tonight.
Yeah, man, I tell you, Chad was brought here under false pretenses, though, unfortunately, man. We'll have to jump into that a little bit later in our guest. Well, we'll hold the guest introduction for just a moment or two, but we are the Bourbon Life Podcast presented by Liquor Barn. We appreciate our sponsors. We appreciate everything they do for us. We couldn't do this show every week without their help and support, so thank you guys for everything you do for us. Matt, with that said, would you like to tell everybody who we have with us tonight?
Absolutely. Let's get right down into it. We have joining us the sales director from Augusta Distillery in Augusta, Kentucky, up in Bracken County, Matt Groves, and he may be the man in the industry with the best flow coming out the back of that hat. I love it.
We'll see.
That
I don't know, man.
lettuce.
Sean Joseph's with Pinhook's got a pretty wild.
I haven't seen it recently.
He's got some good stuff.
Got some lettuce, got some cabbage.
He's done it,
yeah,
man.
that's
Sean's
some
got
good bib lettuce he's got right there.
Sean's got a lot up here, man. Sean's like
He does. He's got a lot of that front.
He got a lot of the
I mean,
front.
is it a mullet?
He's like, I can't remember the back. The front's got a lot going on up there.
Sure.
Yeah. So
It's very Pompadour-esque.
it is. Yeah, yeah. He's kind of got the party up front, and you're getting the party in the back, man.
I do have the party in the back.
I like that, man.
Yeah.
No,
I can keep the party going throughout.
Yeah.
Like the show.
Yeah, like the show.
Yeah.
Like you
Keep
said,
the party
man.
going
The full
throughout, for
Kentucky
sure.
waterfall. Just
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah.
front to
Look at
back.
that.
Yeah.
Not many waterfalls in Bracken County, Kentucky. Got to drive a little bit.
Well, at
for
least
that.
one, right? Yeah. You're bringing
There
it.
you go. You guys might not know this, but I'm from Eastern Kentucky, you know?
Oh.
Yeah, and mullets were really popular back when I was in high school. Matter of fact, I had a mullet. So.
Oh, yeah.
Very nice.
Hey, don't break my heart.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
You happen to know I was from the same hometown as Achy Breaky Billy Ray Cyrus,
the
man.
First
So-
cassette I ever owned.
Was it really?
Yes, it was.
There you
Billy Ray
go.
Cyrus, early 90s.
Yeah, man.
I was a youth.
Yeah.
Would love it on the cassette in the car on the way home.
Awesome. Yeah, that was
Presidents of the United States of America. That was mine.
was it
My
really?
first cassette. Yeah.
Millions of peaches, baby.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's
song.
great.
That's my first
Probably,
cassette.
well, you know what it is. There's people who listen to like, what the hell are these guys talking about? For those who don't know, Billy Ray Cyrus is Miley Cyrus's dad.
Yes. Your demographic probably might not know that.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
Well, no, I mean, East Kentucky. If anyone, does anyone in East Kentucky listen?
I don't know if they do or not. I need to check those
Probably stops like Moorhead, where he got kicked out of, because that's where he went to college.
Oh, there you go. All right. We went to my high school, so he was a few years older than me. But anyway, man, we need to let's talk about the show. Let's not talk about
enough about us.
mullets
We
and
brought
Bodie
great
Race.
guests in here. We've got
man. And he joined
the
us
table
live,
is looking
man.
clean
Yeah.
so far.
So far.
So
I
always
might
love
meet up soon.
Yeah,
Man,
that's good.
well, let's just jump right in because you brought a lot of stuff tonight.
Yeah,
man.
no
So,
kidding.
Yeah,
Brought the
you got the
Fuego.
bottle. We'll let you tell us what we're going to be drinking
definitely.
on this first round.
Yeah, what I like to do, the order in which I like to taste sample out some of our bottles might be counterintuitive to some, but I think once you've tasted them, you'll probably realize the why behind that. But I am with Augusta Distillery. My name's Matt. I am not just
Matt.
not just an employee of Augusta Distillery. I'm also from Augusta, Kentucky. Grew up there, went to high school there, graduated from there. My claim to fame is that other than George Clooney, I'm the best looking guy.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Second best looking guy from Augusta.
Apparently, my wife found out that George Clooney is a big fan of transparent pie, apparently as well. That is on the internet somewhere, which we'll tell that story in a few minutes.
We
but
have
yeah.
more and more in common the more I know.
There you go, man.
It's a
You and
beautiful
Clooney,
thing,
man.
for sure.
BFFs.
Yeah, so if you're familiar with Augusta, to our listeners and to the three of you, so kind as to have me here today, you know that we kind of got blasted into the mainstream in 2023 by winning a pretty cool award at the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, and that's not something we need to dive into too deep, but what it did is it put the name Buckner's and the brand Buckner's Single Barrel Bourbon onto the map in a really, really big way. At the time, there wasn't really a lot of that 13-year single barrel cask strength unfiltered Kentucky bourbon left on the shelves. So fortunately for us, what we had in our coffers waiting not too long after those awards came out to age up to 10 years was what would become Buckner's 10-year single barrel cask strength unfiltered single barrel. Sourced barrels, distilled and aged in Bardstown, Kentucky.
Okay.
Bottled in Augusta. Soon there will be distillate coming from Augusta. We're going to talk about that a little bit later. But what you have in front of you is one of our single barrel expressions on the Buckner's 10. Specifically, that's going to be barrel number 56, bottle number 60, coming in at a humble 127.2 proof.
What a way to kick off this show.
Super humble, right?
Yeah.
Why not dive right in? And we can talk a little bit more about why I go 10 first.
Yeah.
After we all have a sip, I think, right?
Yeah.
Might be
Well, we'll
appropriate.
do the nose first. Come on, man. You listen to the show.
I do listen.
You know
You're right.
we do,
I'm just
but-
so eager to drink. Never had this before.
Never had this before, right?
Yeah, first
And you
time.
haven't
New
had
experience.
any drinks today. You've been working all day here in Lexington, right?
Listen, I cannot confirm nor deny. If I've
Upon
had any
advice
drinks
of counsel.
They're called sales meetings.
That's right.
My rights
We don't
under the-
drink, okay? We taste.
We taste.
We
yeah,
taste.
Yeah. Matt, what do you pick up on the nose over there?
Well, now that it's had a little bit of time to open up, it's got really great bourbon notes to it. Like a lot of those vanillas, the nougats coming through on it, like caramel, almost a soft nuttiness. But when I first started smelling it, it actually had a really floral, like a rose petal nose to it, which I was kind of surprised about.
Well, that was just the neck pour, man. So
Yeah, it must have been just the neck pour.
Oh, stirring the pot already.
Chad, since you're here, man, I should have
Yeah.
gone to you first.
You should have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What'd you get?
It's all right. You always
We
go to the
Matt.
second
I know,
best
it's just-
first.
like Matt said, I always do the same thing over and over again, so it's just like the OCD in me, I guess. It just, went to him. Sorry. Next round, you're number one, man.
Hey, I'll do it. I get a lot of like creme brulee, toasted sugars on the nose, a little bit of like dusting of oak in there. It's I can see the florality that Matt was talking about. I also get a little bit of a tea, like a black tea, but it does not nose like 127.2 proof.
not at all.
Like I can really put my nose in there, but it's very, I won't say deep, but it's just, it's complex nose. It's very inviting for 127 proof. Like this smells really good. Very, like you said, bourbony, vanilla, toffee, caramel, butterscotch, but amped to 10 on all those notes. So really good showcasing.
Yeah. And what was the mash? Can you tell us the mash bill on this?
Yeah,
Matt?
absolutely. Mash bill on your Buckner's 10 is going to be 78% corn, 10% rye, and what did we say, 9%?
12%.
12% malted barley.
Yeah.
Listen,
There's a 9
sell,
somewhere.
I don't add.
Did I get a
sell,
niner?
I
Was
don't
there a
do
niner
math.
in there somewhere? There's a niner, maybe. Yeah, 78.
Something
10,
to the X
12.
power
Yeah,
divided
there you
by
go.
3.
No doubt. So, Matt, what about you? I mean,
Yeah.
this is your baby.
Sure.
What do you pick up on your nose on this?
You actually kind of, for me, when you mentioned rose, you brought out definitely a lot of potpourri that I obviously started noticing after you said that, but a characteristic on the nose that I've gotten pretty consistently across a lot of the barrels that I think were in the same part of the rick house is like a chocolate chip cookie dough, uncooked.
Yeah.
And we had a group picking one of these once, and they were really hung up on 2 of the 3 barrels. And between the 2, the one that they kind of put it in, which is a dangerous thing to do, myself and one of my colleagues, Billy Bays, put it in our hands, said, "What do you think? Can you guys hash it out right here in front of us?" And I was like, well, that's scary. That's putting a lot of trust in somebody. But what did it for me was that baked goods, brown sugar finish, but chocolate chip cookie dough, I keep coming back to that. I'm like Toll House, breaking it open in the pack, because I'm not making it myself, that's for sure. But
but that sweetness comes through now you said that, but I was picking up like the toasted sugar, like brown sugar type of toasted sugar as well.
Well, that ties in perfectly with like a chocolate chip cookie dough. So like I can see that 100%.
100%. That's really what stands out the most to me.
Sure.
I was almost getting almost like a slight fruitiness to it, but I can't really pinpoint what it is.
I pick up a little bit of citrus, like orange,
maybe a little
candied orange peel, orange candies.
Yeah, that's really nice, man. And that is a 10-year. So awesome.
Buckner's 10 years, single barrel cask strength. And what we like to let people know up front in terms of setting expectations, that what you can expect from Augusta, which falls right in line with this, is we're always going to be single barrel. We're always going to be cask strength. We're always going to be unfiltered. And we're putting our stake in the ground as far as a retail product at 8 years.
So
at retail.
Okay.
Now keep this in mind as an NDP right now, transitioning into a distilling producer someday. So keep this in mind for the next segment. Always 8 years. So that means something.
Yeah.
Always single barrel, always cask strength, always unfiltered.
Wow.
Until they release a bottled and bond, and then I'm going to play this back for Matt one day and be like, "You lied, all of us.
You can hold me to that. You can hold me to that for sure.
I save all the video. I save everything.
Mind you, I say that's at retail.
Yeah.
Because the distillery
there you go.
has its own presence, has its own personality.
Yeah.
And we have barrels in there that are a variety of ages, as you can imagine, because we've been sourcing a lot for a long time.
Right. Awesome, man. Some fun things to look forward to down the road for sure. And in round 2 as well.
Yeah.
So Matt, let's jump back. Let's talk about you. We talked about the whiskey initially here. We'll come back to the palate and the finish.
For sure.
Let's talk about you. Talk about your background, your history, how you got, and then how you kind of got into the whiskey. Because you've got a varied history and some unique things that you've done.
Absolutely. So. And I'll tell you just straight up front, I am passionate about this. I'm an emotional person as well.
Yeah.
So be prepared for that. And then
when you mix good
bourbon in, I might get a little sweaty-eyed.
Start crying.
I
That's
might
awesome,
get a little
dude. Let's do it.
So,
Let's do it.
I just care a lot about this. So, from Augusta, Kentucky. What that looks like is my entire dad's side of the family grew up there in Augusta. And when he met my mom in Cincinnati in the 80s, we lived there for a little bit after I was born, but formative years spent in Augusta, back in his hometown. Obviously, almost every weekend was in Augusta prior to us officially moving there in the mid to late 90s. And then every moment spent there from that point all the way through high school. So grew up in Augusta, which for the listeners who might not be privy to this corner of Kentucky, a town of about 1,100 people.
Yeah.
Nestled very, very snugly on the banks of the Ohio River between Maysville and Newport. In distillery speak, I like to let people know, in between Old Pogue, right? DSP number 3, pre-prohibition distiller, and New Riff, DSP 20,000 and some, a lot like us, but 8 years older than us.
Right.
On the banks of the river in Newport.
So you're at the intersection of old and new.
We're the bridge between the old and new.
You are.
Wow, I'm not saying that.
Matt's dropping the bombs.
You just gave me chills. You just gave me
Write that.
chills.
Wait, somebody give me a pen. Write that down. For somebody who makes fun of my notes, I notice you're writing a lot of shit down there. Aren't you happy I put that?
Well, when there's a piece of paper and I have a pen, I tend to write shit down. So yeah.
There you go. Anyway, Matt, go ahead, man. I just had to get that in there since he was giving me shit before we started that I made notes for the episode.
I love it. Went through late elementary, middle, and high school, all the way through Augusta. As you can imagine, when you have 1,100 people in your town, your small K through 12, one building public school isn't very big. I was not the top of my class out of 20, but I did finish 2. I came in second.
Did you really?
Yeah.
You're still your
Came in
top
second.
10%.
Exactly. Yeah. Doing
That's
great.
awesome, dude.
Yeah. Point of pride for sure.
Yeah.
But Augusta's such a fun, unique, close-knit community with a lot of loyalty and a lot of trust. You know, my mom still lives there. So it's a joy to be in Augusta. While most of my work, the nature of sales, is remote or traveling, there are times when I get to, you know, greet new friends, greet people like Chad, like you guys someday who are interested in Augusta and want to come visit and see what the heck's going on in small town Kentucky when you have a company that is building out a 45,000 square foot production facility in the footprint of a manufacturer that was built in 1883, the original building, the original bones of a building built in 1883.
That's great.
It's fantastic. So
You've been up there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Of course
yeah.
you have. Yeah. You got that fancy 15-year-old.
Yeah. Yeah. But for me, you know, turned 18, graduated, you know, looking for different opportunities. Went to college at a small Christian school in the south suburbs of Chicago, Nazarene affiliated, because that's the church that I grew up in Augusta.
Okay.
And had a great time there, learning about life, experiencing what life was like when you go from a town
Learned
of
how to party.
1,100.
Learned how to party at the Nazarene
Chicago.
College.
Yeah, absolutely. Very dry campus, as you can imagine. That's okay. You know, those stages of life, I think, can serve a purpose sometimes. I met some
Definitely.
incredible friends and people that I still keep in touch with to this day who love all of these products just
Yeah,
like
I'm
I do.
sure.
So, you know,
Like text,
kind of blend the
speed
lines
text,
a little
like,
bit.
yo, man, can I get a... Yeah.
No, but great people, great friends. And that's where the career journey took off in a far different way from where I would end up, let's say 12 to 15 years later. So before I...
Every great story's got a plot
For
twist,
sure,
right?
plot
And
twist.
man, that's
Plot
right.
twist. Moved back to Augusta briefly to start writing for the Maysville Ledger Independent.
Okay.
Right, from the newspaper Maysville, right? Kicked off a journalism career after studying that in college. Very passionate about storytelling. I'm sure my long-windedness will allude to that.
Well, would you look at the time? Well, we got to wrap in this first round.
Session 3, yeah. No, so wrote for a newspaper in Maysville where I covered the Fleming County, Kentucky beat, a very rural county with incredible people, right?
Wait, which county?
Fleming.
Fleming County. Oh, yeah. Okay.
So
Flemingburg.
Exactly. So covered Fleming County, Kentucky, all the while looking to dip my toe into the television broadcasting world. And the first opportunity that I took for that was in Rockford, Illinois. So I went back to Illinois.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, just west of Chicago, where I started out as a photojournalist before becoming a reporter and then a weekend evening news anchor, which is a lot different than this, a lot different than the trajectory I thought my life was on at the time. But a lot of fun, a great way to learn about the world, you know, from an objective viewpoint, a great way to appreciate worldviews and individual stories, but also global stories. And so I like to think that I cut my teeth in terms of just dealing with, you know, the general public while working in news.
But okay, so I'll just say that's why you're so good at talking to people. I mean, that's
has a lot to do with
one
it.
thing
Believe
I
it or
know.
not, I was shy at one point.
Were you really? Because that's one thing I've always been impressed with. When you and I talk, you're the type of person that you always have something to say. I don't mean that in a bad way, but you always. I mean, you're very conversational, and there are some people in this industry that just don't have that skill. And it's obviously something that you have done and worked on. And I mean, you went to school for journalism.
Absolutely.
So I think that's obviously served you very well, Matt.
Yeah,
So
I appreciate
very cool.
that. Thank you. Yeah,
I just wanted to throw that
You
in.
just promoted yourself to the new PR manager of Augusta Distillery. So.
I think that's a collective right now. It's a collective between a few of us, but we enjoy it.
Nice.
Yeah, so after Rockford, was looking to get a little bit closer to home. My dad was in bad health, which, you know, happens, right? And so wanted to be closer to him to take part in his care along with my mom. And that brought me to Lexington.
Yeah.
So had been to Lexington plenty of times as somebody who grew up in Augusta and played sports and had to travel to play anybody because Augusta, as Chad has experienced, is not close to much.
No.
And so was familiar with Lexington, had friends already in Lexington, so it was a shoe-in. Just hit the ground running. I think one of my first trips to Lexington, I got a speeding ticket out on the way to Maker's Mark because, you know, it went from like interstate to Loretto like that. And I was not prepared for that. So I was cruising through Loretto at a nice clip and got pulled over by a beautiful gray gray cruiser with the blue lights in the back, and
that was Mark's nickname in high school.
Gray Cruiser?
the gray cruiser.
Yeah. Nice. Thanks. Yeah. My hair wasn't gray back then. And I didn't wear gray fleeces all the time. All right. I developed that skill later. Yeah.
Yeah, but went from there, anchored the news here in Lexington. Well, here in Lexington, which is the home of the Bourbon Life Studios.
That's right. Yeah.
For
Welcome
those who might
to
not
the
know.
beautiful Bourbon Life Studios here.
At ABC 36.
Yeah.
Shameless plug.
There you go.
Met a lot of incredible people. Told a lot of really cool stories around Lexington. Obviously, in a town where the economy is driven by things like bourbon, right?
Right.
Driven by tourism, driven by the equine industry. Incredible stories to be told, incredible people to meet, and just a great place to grow what at the time was a budding passion, not just for good whiskey, but for craft beverage in general. So many great breweries here.
Sure.
My now wife, our first date was at West 6th.
Was it really?
Yeah. And so every time we're back down in town, we still go there. And so obviously I did meet the woman who would become my wife. So Lexington has
Nice.
held a very fond place in my heart. Lived here for 3 years before making my way up the interstate rather, and across the river to Cincinnati, which is home now. So and now I went from working in TV, transitioned into small business marketing, which is not super exciting really.
Right.
The businesses that I was doing this with, and then dipped my toe into craft spirits at a small supplier in Cincinnati, where I really grew a passion for all spirits. I really did like a lot of what we made there, and when the time was right, and I had caught wind that, man, there's this brand opening in my hometown. Like, you're just hearing rumors about it at first, right? And this is right around the start of the pandemic, and who knew what life was going to bring then? And ended up talking to our founder team for a year and a half before I decided it was finally time to jump on board. And thanks to the successful launch of Buckner's 13 year in 2020, which hit the ground running. I mean, you're talking about 1,000 cases between Kentucky and Ohio for a brand at retail that was $199 that no one had heard of, right? It's not super uncommon, but at that time, you're asking people to trust you, right? And so then it was my turn to trust. I trusted that this would be the right move for me and my family, and the rest is history for now.
Oh, that's awesome, though, man. That's a great story. Funny story about the 13 and Buckner's in general. BourbonCon last year, I was still kind of unfamiliar with the brand, right? Mm-hmm. And we're sitting at this table at the dinner, and this guy is like all about Buckner. He's like, "Oh, Buckner's great." And he's pulling up and he's showing. I'm like, "Dude, I don't know anything." He goes, "Well, it's kind of expensive. It's like $200." And I'm like, "Wow, that's like, for a brand I don't know anything about, it's like, how do I not know this brand?" And they're pricing at this. And then I think it was right around that time the award, because was that 2022?
2023.
2023. Okay, yeah. That's right. Yeah, that's what I meant last year. We're in 2024, aren't we?
That's right.
Gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. So it was around that time, and then you ended up with the bottle of the 15-year-old, and it was like, it all made sense and started clicking there, man.
For sure.
So great. Well, guys, let's jump back to the whiskey, because we're almost, believe it or not, at the end of round. You just talked your way right through that,
I was
man.
Gonna say, I'm telling you, I'm long-winded. So you might
there's
have
Matt
to
Groves, there's Fred No.
You're gonna have to give me some cues. If
No,
I'm,
dude,
if I'm
we're good. We don't have a time limit.
So.
You showed up early. Everybody showed up early tonight, man. So we got plenty of. Look at Matt checking his watch.
Yeah,
He's like,
we are
he's like, I gotta
technically
go.
ahead of the train is ahead of schedule.
We
So
are, man.
we got all
We're
night to roll here.
Crazy, right? So we're doing great. Of course, Matt's like, I gotta go home and get to bed because I gotta get up at 4:30 and go swim 3 miles in the morning or something.
Very nice.
And do something in the morning.
I'll dream about swimming at that time.
Yeah.
Nobody dreams about swimming. I got news for you. Swimming is horrible.
4:30 in the morning. I just hope I don't wet the bed. Okay, that's so good. Anyway,
You are getting to that age.
Yeah, 55, man. It's getting close. So let's jump back to the whiskey before we derail like we said we're going to. Let's talk about this. So, Chad, I'll throw it to you, man. What do you get? You've already finished yours.
I polished my glass off. But
Nice, man.
I get a lot of, it's like a light chocolate note undertone to it. I don't know if that's just going back to the chocolate cookie he was talking about at the beginning, but I do get like some chocolate and coffee notes. The brown sugar is very strong on the palate. Nice honey note. There's no tea like I got on the nose initially, but there's still a little bit of the floral florality to it, like Matt said. That rose kind of peeks through that rose petal, and it's got a really good like honey texture. And I don't know if that's kind of leading me to like a honey note, but I know you said you go in this because you think the finish kind of falls off on the 10-year, But for me, the finish has been really good. It's got a nice mouthfeel to it, and besides a couple notes, it pretty much matches the palate and the nose match perfectly, and it doesn't drink like 127 at all.
Not at all.
No.
I agree with that. 100. I mean, this is someone. I don't want to say it's an easy sipper, but it's not like most 120 plus proof
No,
whiskey.
this bottle would get me in
a lot of trouble. Yeah. Matt, what about you, man?
I got to echo everything that Chad said. Really great nose to taste connection on this one. What I picked up, kind of those nougats, that vanilla, kind of that toffee note really comes through. I'm getting that orange zest, orange peel on the palate. Also picking up like some of the sweetness and that crispness is almost like ginger to me, like a ginger syrup or like a sharp ginger ale kind of
That's a good
note as well. The sweetness where Chad was talking about honey is definitely there, but I'm almost like sorghum. Like, to me, it's sorghum, a little sticky, a little natural.
For sure.
Like transparent pie.
Oh, there it is. There, I was waiting.
Yeah.
I was waiting to get pied in the face. I was waiting to get pied.
What about you, Matt? What do you pick up? Other Matt.
The honey note was not something that I picked up on before, but it really is pronounced there. Right in the middle, I tried to clear myself out a little bit and start fresh. And I keep coming back to like Heath Bar. I don't know if I can say that brand on
Yeah, I don't think anybody's going to sue us, man.
Yeah, but
Don't worry.
Really strong
We don't have an
toffee.
affiliation with Mars, so
Right.
Yeah, we're working on that.
Not a chewy toffee either, like the type of toffee that snaps.
Yeah.
Because I think there's a little distinction there because of the way that the sugar's cooked. And so I get the brulee, I get the that hard toffee, almost like a Werther's original.
Yeah.
Nice. Very nice. I like it. It's got a little bit, it's a little tannic on the finish to me, a little drying. I don't know, Chad, did you get that or not? Or because you're always the one that like.
No, for me, like as far as oak level goes, I think it's like a perfect, like just is there.
And I didn't
not
mean
too
that in a bad
much.
way.
No,
That's
no,
what I'm saying.
no.
I didn't mean that, but I can always, when it affects my palate like that, where it feels like it's a little drying, then I usually call that out just because
Absolutely.
in a lot of situations, I don't like it to be overly drying. And this is not, it's a nice balance.
Yep.
You get that oakiness.
Sure.
It's not overwhelming.
Right.
But it gives kind of dries a little bit. But yeah, man, the aromas, everything they've said, I concur with that. That sweet, that brulee sugar type of flavor and everything, man. Very, very, very nice. So this was 2 thumbs up for me, for sure, man.
Appreciate it.
Very nice. Well, guys, we are at the end of round 1. Gosh, that flew.
Yeah.
We're going to do like a bonus premium round or something, right? Round 4 of the bourbon. No.
We can do that.
Yeah. All right.
There is another bottle that can be opened for the
a
fourth
lot of
round.
There's a lot of bottles on this
Bonus
table.
content for your Patreon subscribers.
That's what
all one.
Going to work on that. Don't have it up yet. Well, there
Okay,
is a
got it.
Patreon, but there's really nothing to it.
Well, then what's your Venmo?
All right, everybody. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be back with more with Matt Groves with Augusta Distillery in just a few minutes.
Bluegrass Distillers is a craft distillery with a passion for producing exceptional bourbon. They're committed to the art of distillation, using locally sourced grains to create a distinct and flavorful bourbon that captures the essence of Kentucky's rich whiskey heritage. Bluegrass Distillers takes pride in their small batch, hands-on approach, ensuring quality and attention to detail in every bottle they make, like their limited release 9-year-old Elkwood Reserve Bourbon, which is currently available for purchase at their brand new Visitor Center in Midway, Kentucky, their distillery in Lexington, and select stores throughout Kentucky. And with their new distillery slated to begin operation in spring of 2024, you'll be able to pick up even more exceptional spirits from them, like their wheated bourbon and their blue corn bourbon in the spring and fall. For more details and to plan your visit, check out their website at bluegrassdistillers.com.
Hey, I'm Carrie Van Winkle coming to you from Pappy & Company, a brand I co-founded with my sisters and is deeply tied to our family's heritage. Our great-grandfather was the legendary bourbon pioneer Pappy Van Winkle, so we're all about honoring his legacy while reinventing those timeless traditions for our modern lifestyles. Our wide range of products reflect our family values and entrepreneurial spirit, from Pappy-branded apparel to specialty foods, aged and retired bourbon barrels, barware, and premium cigars. Just like our bourbon, we're dedicated to quality, small batch production and infusing those elements of joy into daily life. Exclusive to listeners, we're offering a 15% discount on your first order, so go to pappyco.com and use code BourbonLife15. Cheers!
All right, everybody, welcome back for round 2 of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark, and with me here live tonight in the Bourbon Life Studios around the flights of the rectangular table, it's my good friend, Matt. Matt, how you doing?
Mark, I am doing so great. How are you?
I'm doing great, man.
I forgot to ask you in the first round.
Well, nobody cares. It's the
but I
old
do.
guy
I
end
thought
of the
about
table,
it
man. Nobody gives a
afterwards,
shit.
after we had already gone through everything. I
too
thought,
late.
I didn't ask the amigo how he's doing down there in Mission Control.
I'm doing great, man. We are now on daylight savings time, right? So we get the extra hour of daylight every day, which is gorgeous. I love it. The sun went down at 8 o'clock last night.
I wish the change would happen at 4 o'clock on a Friday.
So you don't have to work that last hour.
Yeah,
of the day, right?
rather
You're
than
like,
at
I'm out.
2 a.m. on a
bitches.
Sunday or whatever.
It's 5 o'clock now.
Yeah, why can't we make that happen?
I think we should. Well, hopefully this will be the last time, right?
Hopefully Kentucky gets rid of it.
Hopefully everybody gets rid of it.
Yeah, I think it's stupid.
We'll see what happens, man. Because
I changed my oven, my microwave, my car.
I know. I mean, how hard is that to push that button, man?
Well, you scroll past, you press it one too many times, shit. All right.
Speaking of Seinfeld, do you remember the episode where Elaine was complaining about the juice and having to shake it?
Yes.
And Jerry grabs the bottle and he's like, "Yeah, that's really hard."
It's so much hard work.
Yeah. That's kind of where I'm at with you on that one, man. Anyway, so Chad, speaking of you, how are you doing tonight, man? You're already drinking, man. Just pace yourself. You gotta
Wait, man. We gotta do the
That's
nose
right, man.
first.
Come on, Chad.
Oh, well, no one would have known if you wouldn't have thrown me under the bus there, Mark.
Oh man.
No, you're on
I'm
video.
doing good. Oh yeah, I forgot.
That was on video.
I forget
That
the
was
camera's
on
there.
video.
There you go.
I'm doing good. Doing really good. I'm happy not to be in my car today. Been driving a lot.
Yeah, man. Yeah, work's busy, obviously, man. So we're happy you joined us. Of course, you came here, like I said before, under false pretenses, which we're going to have to explain that, right?
Someday that will be explained.
Yeah.
Someday. Maybe today.
Yeah. But we're happy you're here. So it kind of adds another dimension to the Bourbon Life Podcast when it's not a crew episode, man.
I could have been happier, but I'll take what I can get.
Those were my terms, by the way. I was like, I'm gonna need Chad.
I know. Matt's like, I need Chad's got to be there. I'm like, all right, dude, we're gonna bring Chad over, man, so we can all drink. And I knew Chad had the 15-year-old too, so I'm like, yes,
Yeah.
that's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Bring Chad and bring your damn bottle. Matt. Oh wait, no, I screwed up. I don't do that.
Just roll. You got to introduce it. Just do it. You did it.
We got to go back to our normal self. So we are the Bourbon Life Podcast, presented by Liquor Barn. We appreciate all our sponsors and everything they do for us. Matt, with that said, would you like to tell everybody who we have with us tonight?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Joining you all this morning, this afternoon, this evening.
Whenever it is, you get your Bourbon Life fixed.
That's right. Matt Groves is the sales director at Augusta Distillery. And he is back for the second round. Matt, welcome on back to the Bourbon Life Podcast.
It's an absolute honor. I've been a long time listener, first time caller, first time.
I love it.
There it is.
Attendee
Awesome.
here. So maybe if here's what I have to. I just have to say this out loud. Like, Mike Rowe was on this.
And Mike Rowe was on the podcast. Exactly right.
Connor O'Driscoll was on this.
Yeah, man.
The people who've been on this podcast, and then you have me.
Yeah, man.
Things must not be going
you're
well.
You're kind of
if
a
I'm
big
on here.
deal, though, too, man. No, you guys are kind of a big deal. Of course, last week it was just me and Matt. So let me tell you, man,
That was great. That was a great episode.
We have elevated.
That was a solid episode for sure.
We appreciate that. But this week we're elevating our game again. So thank you.
Thank you. You're too kind, and thank you for having me.
And thanks for coming here in person, man.
It's awesome.
I think it makes the show a lot more fun, at least for me.
Yeah.
I think
like
it does, man.
Like we covered in the first segment, Lexington was home for 3 years.
Yeah.
It's nothing for me to come down here.
Awesome.
Get to see old friends, get to make new friends.
Now, I have to ask, though, when you're
Please.
with 36, what's Chris Martin? Can I say his name?
I don't care.
Is it Chris Martin? No,
Chris Martin, like from Coldplay?
No, who's the president of the
Aldridge.
Aldridge, that's it. Did you have the hair? Was he cool with that? Did you?
God, no. After all this is said and done, well, maybe we can pull up some old clips or something.
We're gonna,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do that. See if I can edit some.
This face has always been meant for radio and podcast, but I was able to pull the wool over the eyes of many for a long time. But
well, we've been doing it for 4
Well,
years.
we've been doing it for years, man. Nobody's said anything.
It's possible.
no, these locks were not as lush in my TV days. It was a crew cut and clean shaven. So.
Very, very, very nice.
Yeah, it was.
But we still wore shorts under the news desk.
Did you really?
Absolutely.
That's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Very-
No reason not to.
I've taken my pants off since we started this episode.
Yeah, perfect.
So
Matt,
this
you
is
can get over
the
there,
same
man.
thing. Yeah.
Thank God we're just
from
neck
here up, I
Yeah.
look great.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Wow. Wow, man. All right. So,
What
Matt.
podcast is this?
Yeah. Good
No,
thing
it's
we
like
have one
After
of our
Dark.
new sponsors, right?
The Bourbon Life After Dark.
Bourbon fans.
Wow. Anyway, Matt, you brought something else for us. It's so
Yeah.
funny to say Matt and Matt. So
Matt.
Yeah.
You Matt.
Strong names,
Augusta Matt. Yeah, man. There you go. We
Yeah.
got Matt and we got Matthew and Mark. So, you know, we got 2 of the 4
There you go.
gospels here.
Yeah,
So,
for sure.
whatever. What'd you bring for round 2? What's for us to drink?
All right, for round 2, I don't know. What are you showing?
Oh, he's pulling up pictures.
there
Man,
it
that is tight.
Oh, yeah. Look at that clean.
I would vote for that guy.
There you go.
I gotta say, yeah.
He had political aspirations.
Your
He could-
local HOA, maybe.
Hey, tear that fence down, damn it.
On that note,
Yes.
what we have here that we're about to nose is Old Route 8, single barrel, cask strength, unfiltered Kentucky bourbon. Again, you know, I think I mentioned in the first segment, putting our stake in the ground at bourbons aged at minimum 8 years.
Okay.
Always single barrel, always cask strength, and always unfiltered, and always from Kentucky, obviously, as these are sourced. The barrels that we've been sourcing, you know, since before Augusta Distillery was a brand, you could say. There's a bit of a story behind that. But they've all been distilled and aged in Bardstown, Kentucky.
Okay.
So these are true Kentucky bourbons from what many call the Mecca of the bourbon world.
Sure.
And so we're super honored to be able to source these barrels for one, but also be able to bottle them under the name of my hometown and under names that are significant to people in Augusta. So Old Route 8, which is the name of this bottle. Route 8 is the 2-lane highway that snakes along the Ohio River, has connected Augusta to the rest of the world for generations upon generations. My grandfather, when the family tobacco farm wasn't doing great, would drive Old Route 8 to Cincinnati to work at the shoe factory.
Okay.
When my dad was old enough, they would carpool so that my dad could get to work at a manufacturer in Cincinnati so that they could make a life, you know, for themselves and make a life for Augusta in general. You know, commerce is integral, but also hard to come by in small towns all across America. Augusta's not unfamiliar to that. And so, you know, a lot of times people do have to travel outside of Augusta to make livable wages to come home and support their families there. So Old Route 8, you know, to me, that really resonates with me because for the past 27 years, my mom has even commuted from Augusta to Cincinnati for work. It's a 2-hour round trip.
Is that, I was going to say, it's an hour drive?
Yeah, hour drive each way. And it's just what needed to be done and at times still needs to be done for people to be able to bring home groceries and support their families. And so it's a lot lot than just a bourbon, right?
Look, you're making Chad cry. Damn, dude.
Hey, listen. You know,
Already
I'll cry
crying
with
on
you.
this
Don't
show.
worry.
Yeah.
Damn.
Don't worry. But yeah, we're really proud of this. It is what will become, in addition to the Buckner's brand, synonymous with Augusta Distillery and Augusta Distilling as we grow toward releasing our own Kentucky bourbons and laying down our first barrels in the next 60 to 90 days.
That's awesome, man. That's great. So, guys, what are you picking up in terms of the nose on this one? Chad, I'm going to throw it to you.
Woo. A lot of oak.
Oak.
Yeah, a lot of oak on the nose. It's got a really nice, once again, a nice brown sugar note. There's like a dark brown sugar, and a lot deeper.
It is, yeah.
Good bit of molasses to it, and it's also got a nice medley of spices like cardamom, clove. It's got just a touch of tobacco to it. It definitely knows like it's older than 8 years old. I mean, like I always say in a blind, I'd put this, 10, 12 years. I mean, it really is kind of like.
Is it wrong if I say I like the nose on this one better than the 10-year-old?
There's nothing wrong. Nothing wrong about that.
I really like this nose. But Matt, what do you pick up, man? I'm sorry, Chad, were you finished?
I am finished, yes.
All right,
yes.
sorry about that.
This one's got a brighter nose, I think, that I'm finding like a lot of brighter notes come across. There's still like that oak Chad was talking about, some of the vanillas and those typical bourbon notes, but I'm picking up a lot more fruit on this. And particularly, I'm getting like peaches and cream, which is really weird. I don't often pick up.
Reunited and it feels so. Oh, wrong. Peaches and cream. Man. Sorry.
I don't get peaches or the peach note often on a bourbon, but I'm really picking it up on this one. It has this creamy, like baking spice, peach and cream, almost like lemon balm or thyme herbal kind of nose to it. I think the little bit extra kick in the rye, that 13%, is playing a little bit with this one, opening up some bright notes.
Matt, what about you, man?
Yeah, I get that too. You said peaches and cream, and for me, strawberries and whipped topping came to mind. Like before you said that, and I was like, okay, because strawberry is also for me a really it's faint, right? It's not the most pungent,
Right.
but when I notice it, it's there, right? And it's almost all I can pick up. But I also get that kind of strong whip topping with vanilla, like just a nice creaminess to it.
It's almost got like a fruit pie filling, like strawberry. So I get more like red
Don't
fruit.
bring up pie.
Yeah, I can't help
like a transparent
Like,
pie.
yeah, but
But
with
you
fruit
almost
in
had
it.
tonight.
I almost did,
But you didn't.
You know,
Thanks, Matt. Yeah, I like there's the oak, but it's all like a sweet oak to it. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like a tannic or drying or overwhelming smoky oak. It's a nice sweetness to that. You guys talked about the vanilla and the whip top, and now that's standing out
For sure.
a lot. Yeah,
I'm not the
after
peaches. I
swallowing
don't
it.
get the now you talk about strawberry. And it's funny because usually like Maker's Mark, I get strawberries on Maker's Mark with the wheated mash bill, which obviously this isn't wheated. This one was 70. Wait, what was it?
7813.9.
Thank you,
13.9.
7813.
A little bit higher rye, which is honestly
Yeah.
why I typically pour it after the 10-year. And I don't think
Okay.
I mentioned, but on this bottle that we're tasting from today, your proof's going to be 131.4.
Yeah, a little hotter.
So it's going to have some heat to it, and that finish is going to be very present. And I think that also is compounded by that extra rye as compared to the 10-year.
Yeah, but again, this one doesn't nose. I mean, at 131 proof, I mean, you think that you're gonna like melt your face off, right?
I'm almost like the more I go to it, I'm getting like the cake from a strawberry shortcake too, like that spongy cake.
The sponge,
Like
spongy
angel
funnel
food cake or
underneath.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's really nice. All right, so Matt, I was going to ask you last round, but your role, sales director,
Yeah.
what does that encompass? Is there a typical day for you in your job?
Yeah, I'd like to think there's not, and it's because I'm very much not a creature of habit. Like I struggle.
You're not like me. You don't do the same thing over and over again.
I struggle doing the same thing over and over
Okay,
again. I do. And it could be just an attention span thing, or it could be I just really embrace sometimes waking up and not knowing the track that my day is going to take, for sure. But as sales director, that's kind of a narrow title for what really is. And everybody in a new company has a ton of hats, right? You got come, some like today I got to put my Bourbon Life.
You look
hat
good
on.
in that Bourbon Life.
Thank
That looks
you,
good,
thank
man.
you. But it's sales, obviously, so it's earning the trust of everyone from a distributor who we might want to work with in an expansion state, to the wholesaler at the bar, restaurant, or retail level who has to trust you enough to bring on a product that, it's no secret that they're ultra premium spirits, and
Sure.
they come at an ultra
At a
premium
price,
price
right.
tag.
Right.
And so a lot of my day is being super honest and being myself so that I can earn the trust of everybody that I meet, because that's super important to me. I'm a person of integrity. I really value taking a professional relationship beyond professional to personal. I enjoy that about what I do. I don't think I'd probably be here had Chad and I not hit it off, months and months and months ago in Augusta, and just by a simple exchange on Instagram.
Yeah.
And it's also probably
It's a budding bromance right here.
It is, yeah. They'll write tales of us.
We're bunking tonight.
Wow, a Bourbon Life first. Look, guys,
A Bourbon Life
the
bromance.
guest room upstairs is
That's
closed.
fine.
There's
It's all
The
right.
third round, they're going to be sitting on the same side of the table.
We're gonna move the cameras tonight. Everything's on that side. Yeah,
That's right. You got a nice couch over
I
there.
got the couch and the love seat.
We
man,
prefer
so-
the love seat.
There you go.
Yeah.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So earning trust,
Sure.
telling the story of Augusta, and just being the best evangelist I can for my hometown. Like, as much as I want to sell bourbon, I also want to sell visits to Augusta, which outside of travel expenses could be free, right?
Right.
Just come to Augusta, come experience the life that I got to live as somebody who was a young person in a small town, and now is a not so young person who gets to go back and do things like let my mom's diabetic beagle out when she's out of town, or walk down the street in Augusta and sit at Sunset Point and watch the sunset in the Ohio River Valley, or any number of those things. Take a walk down Riverside
scenery.
Drive,
Yeah.
for sure. It's a special place. And to be able to put the name of such a special place on these bottles is like huge. It really is.
Yeah.
And so, it's everything. It's brand ambassadorship. It's product evangelism. It's relationship and trust building. And it's a lot of friendship too. Like it really is a lot of friendship with people.
Sure.
Because we get hit up nonstop. I get flooded with emails, texts, calls, social media messages asking if somebody can get this or somebody can get that. And if you, in a perfect world, the answer would just be yes every single time. And sometimes it's not yes right now, but it may be yes down the road. And so it's really important to me to get to know that person so that, I can fulfill promises, that need to be made over time. But also to create a group of people, a group of friends who, at the end of the day, won't just see bottle 5, barrel 34 on the shelf and pick it up. They'll see bottle 6, barrel 37, and bottle 49, barrel 200 down the road.
Right.
Because that's what it's all about. These are like Pokemon, man. Single barrels are like Pokemon, right?
Yeah, everything. Everyone is different.
The different barrels,
Correct.
the nuance. And the nuance in relationship, I think, marries really well with the nuance in what we're doing. And I just love that combination of things.
Yeah.
So essentially, I just talk a lot.
But that's great. You're doing a great job at it. So let's talk about the brand.
Yeah.
Talk about the establishment, how it got created, how it got started. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah. So Augusta Distillery is the brainchild of Lance Bates and a few friends from business school. Lance has family dating back 200 years in Augusta.
Really?
Working in the agricultural industry, dairy farms, cattle farms. Lance and his wife, Leilani, have actually taken over what was a historical tavern in Augusta, went by the name the Beehive for a lot of years.
Okay.
So they worked really hard to renovate the Beehive, bring it back to life, spruce it up a bit. And so, through that, built a passion, started, offering really great bourbons on the bar there and said, well, when are we going to have our own bourbon here someday? And so, along with Lance's business school buddies and the lovely ladies in their lives, they kind of put their heads together and started coming up with a plan for a distillery in Augusta. But, you can't just have a distillery without having anything to sell, right? So, through some mutual contacts, they ended up meeting Ryan Edwards, who is now our president, wonderful leader within our organization. He was the private owner of the first 60 some odd barrels that would become the first ever launch of Buckner's 13.
Okay, all right.
And so, after getting together, realizing there's no better name for a distillery in this geographical location in this town than giving it the name of the town. It's an honor to be able to put that on the bottle. So then it was like, okay, well, we need a place to put all this stuff. We need a place to start distilling. An old building, an old manufacturer in Augusta, used to be called the F.A. Nider Company. The original manufacturing campus, the original bones, built in 1883. It was a button and fastener manufacturer for stagecoaches. This is pre-automobile.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, with the rise of the automotive industry, they started making buttons and fasteners for automobiles. And that business, in some form or fashion, was around until the early 2000s. At that point, it was mostly just offices in there. It wasn't as much of a manufacturer. I may or may not have thrown rocks through the windows of the former warehouse.
Like It's a Wonderful Life, right? Yeah. Windows and making wishes as you broke the windows.
So poetic justice. They actually docked my first 2 checks at Augusta to pay. No. But, the slogan from buttons to bourbon came around. And so at a time where that manufacturer was providing jobs and wages to the residents of Augusta, it was a really big deal. We hope to be doing that again very soon. We went from, let's say, 5 employees in the fall of 2023 to up to 17 now, and we're hiring for more. So we're going to be adding jobs and creating economic opportunity in Augusta, and we're really excited to be doing that.
Wow.
Distillation beginning, let's say 60 to 90 days, because you know how construction works. It's tough, but the Vendome copper, custom Vendome still.
You got the Vendome still, right?
Yep, has been delivered. It is
Nice.
in place. 18 fermenters, 2 3,000-gallon cookers or mash tuns,
Wow.
with a second twin Vendome copper still on the way, hopefully in July of this year.
For real?
Damn.
What's going to be your production capacity?
When we're fully operating, we will have the capacity to lay down 14,000 barrels annually.
Wow.
Oh, shit. Oh, yeah.
I didn't know that, man.
Yeah, it's going to be a
That's
big
kinda crazy.
operation. We're really
So,
excited.
so let me ask you this. I mean, because you're in Augusta, and we talked about, obviously, 1,100 people, right? I mean,
Right.
my town was small, 7,500 people. So like 7 times the size of your town. My town was very small. people did not normally just want to go to Flatwoods, you know. So unless they want to go see Billy Ray Cyrus's hometown now, right? But so attracting people to Augusta. I know you're in between, like you said, Old Pogue and New Riff, close to Cincinnati, but still an hour away. So how big of a challenge has that been to get people to like? I mean, Chad went, but you know, Chad, you're from there, right? Are you?
I'm from Maysville.
Yeah. So that's not a big trip for you. So I'm just kind of curious. What is that? Is that a bit of a challenge for you guys to do that?
Not really.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
And I want to make sure that I approach that humbly as well.
Sure.
In Kentucky, we have amazing organizations that work around the clock to promote these businesses. You know, between KDA, Kentucky Bourbon Trail, which we are now included on.
You're the Beeline, right? You're part of the Beeline and the Craft.
And the Craft Tour Trail.
Okay.
So we're part of both of those things.
Awesome.
Now, those in and of themselves have marketing power far beyond anything that we could have at this stage of a business, which is massive for us. I mean, talk about incredible partnerships. The things that Kentucky does in general for its spirits producers is just amazing.
Oh, yeah.
You know, no better place to be in this industry, right?
Hey, the governor will always come out, right?
He flew on a helicopter
to come out
to Augusta.
I'm sure he did.
Landed on the ball dime in the ball field.
I'm sure.
And broke ground with our team in the early days.
That's awesome.
For sure.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So,
I mean,
So you know, the draw obviously is bourbon, right?
Sure.
But it's also having a team that puts together a top-notch guest experience, and we've really put that together.
Okay, good.
So in Augusta, and it's something that's starting, I think, to catch on around the industry is barrel thieving, right? Using a traditional whiskey thief, popping bungs, using distillery tools, like putting that in the hands of a guest, of somebody who has traveled from, you know, Huntington, West Virginia, from Columbus, Ohio, from Indianapolis.
Get some free labor out of those people. I bet they would
do.
love.
I mean,
they
would
love the idea of rolling some
tour.
We're
doing something fun. Take a picture, Mom, and Matt's like,
Gotta restack these pallets real quick if you don't.
It's a
somebody laid these barrels on their side. They need to be.
It's you know, talk about like compounding attraction, because you have people who come there for the first time, get to experience this for the first time, then they're going and putting it on social media or spreading word of mouth to their friends and saying, hey, you should come do this for the first time, and by the way, I'm going to come back with you and do it a second time. So in Augusta, when you come, you know, not only do we take you on what we call our Pardon Our Dust Store, because it's very much an active construction site, we also put the thief in your hands quite literally. So you're using a copper whiskey thief to steal samples and pour your own samples from 3 barrels that we use to give education and entertainment on how mash bill, age statement, and rickhouse storage style play so many roles in what you're going to drink out of that barrel and out of that bottle. So right now we got a 2-year, and these are sourced or contract distillate that we roll out onto the floor quite literally in barrel form, and then we pop bungs in front of you to show you what a 2-year wheated mash bill tastes like at 2 years, what a 5-year high rye mash bill tastes like, what a 6-year traditional mash bill tastes like, all the while telling you that, hey, someday that's going to be a wheated Old Route 8 release. Someday that's going to be a high rye Old Route 8 release. Nice. Someday that's going to be Buckner's 13, you know? And so it's a good way of showing people the past, right, where the bourbon came from, the present, where we're at right now, and then the future of where we're going as a brand in terms of what you can expect to see from us over the years and our commitment to bottling quality product. And by the way, when you're done with that presentation, you can bottle your own bottles straight from the barrel and label it as a distillery exclusive, which we call the River Proof series.
Okay, nice. Yeah, you'd mentioned that in our emails, the River Proof, so that's very cool.
Is Billy still doing the gift like
Billy,
that?
Yes. So Billy's, you know, it's funny.
Can we call him Billy the Kid?
Billy the Kid. We call him Billy Bourbon Bays.
Okay.
So Billy is, at this point, he's probably considered like our VIP barrel thief leader, because you know, he has a lot of other responsibilities in the operations world. You know, like you wear a lot of hats at the distillery, you know, with your barrels, Chad, but Billy does as well. You know, he's managing our single barrel, he's managing our inventory. And so every once in a while, though, you'll get somebody who says, man, I was there a couple years ago and Billy Bays did my experience. I'm bringing friends back. You know, any chance he could do that? And absolutely, and he's more than happy to. And you're hard pressed to find a more animated and passionate experience leader / tour guide, if you will. along the Bourbon Trail. I'd put him up against some of the best on the Bourbon Trail.
Very cool. Well, I hate that I didn't get to meet him because I was up there for that Bluegrass Bonded Spirit.
For sure.
And I was just like kind of getting my bearings up there. It was a different experience. It was cool. I enjoyed it. But yeah, I was going to try to look for him, but unfortunately didn't get to find him. But all right, guys, we're at the end of round 2 almost. So let's jump back to the whiskey. We got to talk about it. Matt. Are you Matt? What do you get? Yeah, we'll throw it to you, man.
Tastes like bourbon.
Isn't that crazy? I get caramel and vanilla.
I get like
My Denny Potter tasting notes: caramel, vanilla.
I really noticed the corn up front.
Yeah.
That's my first, and that's like as corny as that sounds. I love that about a bourbon. I love that about a whiskey, is that you can taste the agriculture.
Yeah.
Is you can taste the hard work that went into it, and it to me that corn manifests itself as like a really sweet, like kettle popped, maybe even like a holiday tin of caramel corn.
It's got to be the holiday tin, though.
Sugar pops.
I see that. Sugar pops, yeah.
That's spot on.
I just took a little sip of water, and then I was drinking that water. It was like, when you're talking, I'm like, oh my God, it tastes just like the sugar pops when I was
And I think I just got a little bit of black pepper
yeah.
right in the middle.
Very nice, man. All right, Matt, what about you, man?
Yeah, I right up front, it's big and bold for me. I get like peppercorn melange, so like white.
What's melange? I don't know what that is.
Melange,
Menage
it's
a
like the like mix of
After dark,
peppercorn.
the Bourbon Life.
That's your white, your red, your black, your green
Melange.
peppercorn. Kind of that melange of
He's a fancy restaurant dude.
peppercorns right up front.
McCormick? Is that the?
Yeah,
McCormick.
it's the McCormick.
Yeah,
We call it the
quad
McCormick
spice.
around here.
The old McCormick special.
Quad spice. That's the highfalutin. That's the top premium shelf, McCormick. Sorry, Matt. Go
Rye
ahead.
cracker on this one. I like a nice crisp rye cracker.
Oh, okay.
Not you, Chad.
Oh, yeah,
different cracker.
That's racist, dude.
Sorry. Little peanut notes, kind of some peanut brittle, sweetness coming down the line on the end of that. Then spicy coriander, clove on the finish. Nice long finish on it too. It's like really, really bright, really vibrant, really wakes up the tongue. I put a touch of water in it as well, and it just like got even creamier and even more of those vanillas and kind of that like really oily mouthfeel came around on it.
Nice. Chad, what about you, man?
For me, a lot of up front was like graham cracker and cornbread with a ton of like buttercream frosting, like this thick, rich vanilla flavor. Good cherry, maple, tobacco, black pepper. I mean, it's pretty much everything that's been said here. Leather. I mean, it's kind of everything all thrown together, but in like a really good wave. Like there's, there are flavors that are like a little more pronounced than others, a little more sharper than others, but nothing is like fighting. So it's, it's just this constant, every time I go in for a sip, it's like a new experience.
Yeah.
Does drink like the proof, does drink like 131 for me, but I enjoy that. So like it has a nice long finish. I don't have to keep going back to it. So I can have a sip, enjoy that, think about it, have another sip. Every time I take a sip, I'd write a new note down.
Right.
Yeah. So I really enjoy it.
Yeah, I kind of got at one point like cinnamon red hot, like that cinnamon sweetness.
Yeah.
And it's like,
That's a good one.
Right on the
that's
back, yeah.
really nice, man.
Big red.
But
Yeah,
that
I was thinking big red.
that it lingers on the
I was
palate.
gonna say, I didn't get it
just-
until like I sat with it for a minute.
Yeah, and it's just like, and then there it is. It's
Yeah.
like, oh yeah, that's really nice. But all around, but that corn pop, it's kind of funny you talked about that. And then I took that sip of water at the same time. I was like,
Yeah, that's a good note. The corn
Yeah.
pop's a good
Man,
note.
corn
Yeah, I
pops.
dropped just a touch of water in here,
Yeah.
and I got a lot more nuttiness, peanut butter, like candy bar.
yeah, very very nice. I'm gonna say I actually enjoyed the 8-year-old more than the 10-year-old. I mean, kind of weird, but because people think like, oh, if it's 10 years old, it's got to be better than an 8-year-old, right? Which I know isn't true.
Sure.
But
And it's been a topic of conversation recently in terms of flavor over age,
Right,
yeah.
Overall flavor over
Sure.
overall
No-
age.
no
You
question about it.
I mean, and honestly, the best way to determine that is blinding, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
take all those
sure.
elements, the superficial
Correct.
elements
Yeah.
off the table
Good
and
point.
just leave it to the liquid.
Yeah. Oh, I think a lot of us would be a lot more humble if we blinded everything we tasted sometimes.
oh,
or-
trust me, when we did the blind, you've heard some of the episodes we've done, and we're
Yeah,
just like,
thank you,
what-
Philip.
I know. Thank you, Philip.
The
Yeah.
king of
Hooters
introducing
whiskey,
us
what
to $24 whiskey.
Oh my God!
Arby's roast beef.
Yeah.
What was the other stuff he brought? The monkeys. What was that?
Howler.
Howler head, yeah. That I didn't even drink. I noticed it. I was like, I text him, and I was like, I ain't drinking this.
Philip brings some pretty wild stuff sometimes, but he kind of also like we're like surprised sometimes, like wow, didn't know that. But
for sure.
But yeah, both of these are great. But I'm really this 8-year-old man, and when you gave me some of that, we at the Bourbon on the Banks, that VIP event. That's why I was like, holy crap, because the first time I ever had it.
Right.
So yeah, man, very, very nice. Really.
That was such a fun event, by the way. Can I just
It was.
say, like,
Oh yeah, man. Yeah.
It's gonna sound fun. I get starstruck at some of these events, and that was the first time that Freddie from
Freddie
Buffalo
Johnson?
Trace had
Yeah,
ever
yeah.
come up to me, and he was like, "Been hearing a lot about you guys," and I'm like, "What?
Who are you?
Yeah, I'm sure. No, I get it, man.
I love your root beer.
Yeah. But it's cool. I mean, that's super. I mean, that's like such a big compliment.
Yeah, it is.
Like people in this industry that come up to you and say,
Yeah.
"Hey, have had your stuff and been seeing it." For one, it's nice to know that the message is getting out.
Right.
For two, it's nice for that message to be validated when somebody takes a sip, right?
Yeah.
And you see them experience joy, experience flavor, and that's what it's all about, honestly.
For sure.
I actually paid Freddie on Cameo to come talk to you in person. Yeah.
That's what
a
it
cameo.
was. Oh.
But it was a live cameo. It was the in-person cameo.
I'll give you an extra 20.
Do that. You can really catch people off
Yeah,
guard.
paid extra for that. All right,
my
guys,
God.
we're at the end of round 2 here. So for me, 2 thumbs up on this one for sure. Very,
yeah.
very good. You guys liked it as well, obviously. So yeah.
Yeah, I burned through about 3 bottles of that. So.
Well, let's take a quick break, get a word from our sponsors, and we'll be back with more with Matt Groves with Augusta Distillery in just a minute.
The Stave Restaurant is a bourbon lover's paradise right here in the heart of bourbon country. Located at 5711 McCracken Pike in Millville, Kentucky, between Castle and Key and Woodford Reserve, Chef Kyle Klatka prepares amazing food each day that features an elevated Kentucky-inspired cuisine. With a full-service bar, great bourbon flights, and signature cocktails, the Stave is the perfect place to catch up with friends after a fun-filled day of touring the local distilleries. Be sure to check them out online at thestavekentucky.com or at Instagram and Facebook at The Stave Kentucky. Three Chord's line of whiskeys embody the spirit of creativity. The whiskey is a true collaboration between producer and composer Neil Giraldo and master blender distiller Ari Sussman. The Three Chord team of expert blenders, coopers, and sensory professionals have developed a multi-step process they call Perfectly Tuned Taste. This process begins by carefully selecting the finest bourbon and rye whiskeys from Kentucky, Tennessee, and Indiana, and then blending them together. Find out more about the whiskeys and distribution in your area at www.threechordbourbon.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back for the third and final round of the Bourbon Life Podcast. I'm your host, Mark Nunemaker, and with me here live in the Bourbon Life Studios is my good friend, Matt. Matt, how you doing down there?
Oh, Mark, I am doing so great down here. How are you? How are you on the other end of the table?
You know what?
there?
I'm feeling pretty good, Matt.
That's what
We've had a couple
the
hot
table
brews.
is starting to look like I always love. Getting
Yeah.
a little more crowded, a few more bottles coming out.
Yeah,
We have an
man.
empty bottle, too.
We have an empty
Yeah.
bottle. That's
Oh,
right,
right.
man.
Well,
we
soldier down.
got a soldier down here for sure. We got Chad joining us tonight. How you doing,
I'm
man?
here. I made it. I'm still here.
Yeah, man.
Yeah,
I'm glad you
surprisingly.
didn't leave.
Yeah, well, I mean, I can't fit through the cat gate, so,
Yeah, we thought you had a conference call out in your car. You needed to
Yeah,
take.
glad we could break you away from that to join us
Yeah, get out of the office.
tonight, man. So we are the Bourbon Life Podcast presented by Liquor Barn. We appreciate them. We appreciate all of our sponsors, everything they do for us. We couldn't do the show without their help and their support. With that said, Matt, you want to tell everybody who we have with us for the third and final round of the Bourbon Life Podcast?
Absolutely. Back for the third and final round to kill it all off here tonight. The sales director at Augusta Distillery, Matt Groves. Matt, welcome on back.
Thank you. So, is it normal to have a salesperson on the Bourbon Life? I'm curious.
Yeah, but you're
Yes.
more than a sales director.
Yeah,
I mean, you're kind of like the face
Being
of the
from
brand,
Augusta
man.
helps.
You're like the national brand ambassador extraordinaire,
Something.
Matt.
Yeah.
So
I'm having a good time doing it, too.
you're a natural. You did a great job at it, man.
Well, thanks.
Yeah, no
I'm
doubt.
not just kissing your ass because you brought this great next bourbon and all the other bourbons, but this one is
There's some good
especially.
Yeah, this
but-
one, You might have heard of it once or twice.
Why don't you go ahead, and since we kind of segued into that,
Yeah.
why don't you tell everybody what you brought on this third and final round for
Yeah,
us
for
to
sure.
enjoy.
First, I do want disclaimer. This was my personal bottle.
Thank you so
and
much,
the
man.
The reason I brought a personal bottle is because I can't find it anywhere else.
I know. I went across the street today to see if they still had like a spare of their store pick. Gone.
You got any of that Buckner's 13? You got any of that Blanton's? You got any of that Buckner's 13?
Y'all got any of that Buckner's 13 left, man?
So we just poured out the last of the Buckner's 13 that I had. Now, this was one of the early releases. This is one of the first dump barrels.
Okay.
And the reason I know this is barrel number 13.
Okay.
Right, of all time for Buckner's.
Oh, yeah. So
and it was also a single barrel pick that our distributor in Kentucky, Heidelberg, offered up in the early days of distribution in 2020 to help make sure this moved, right? Because it was a big ask. It's a big ask to have somebody commit to $199 on a brand they've never heard of, not knowing what the liquid gold was going to be inside.
Sure.
In fact, I should say liquid double gold, I guess, right?
Yeah. Damn it. I wish I knew which button.
We're sampling Buckner's 13 today. Not readily available in stores. Probably looking at another 2 to 3 years before that comes back.
Okay.
As barrels age up right now in our sourced inventory. Yeah. Right, exactly. Dibs.
I'm in line already.
Dibs.
Yeah, let me put my chair out in front of the distillery.
I got a chair out
Put
there.
a plaque on it. This chair is holding my
That's
spot.
right.
Yeah, so this is barrel number 13, my lucky number, my high school basketball number in Augusta, by the way.
Was it really? You play
Number
basketball?
13.
How did I figure that? I just knew you did.
No, I was lanky and awkward.
Wait a second. You had
as awkward as you can imagine on
You had how many kids? You had 20 in your graduating class?
20 in my class.
So there's like...
There were no tryouts, if that's what you're getting
But
to.
no, they're like, what, 80 kids maybe in the
No,
high school?
they're actually like going out to the farms to be like, are they old enough to be in school yet?
I
we
will
need a
say,
team.
Point of pride, we took Augusta my junior year to the regional tournament.
Did you really?
For the first time in 26 years at that point.
What region were you guys in?
10th region. Same region as Mason County.
Okay.
The fighting 10th.
Right, there you go. So, around here, played against GRC, played against Mason County.
Did you really?
Oh, yeah.
And GRC is
and
big.
got
They're-
absolutely demolished by all of them. They just, I remember once Darius Miller, who went on to stand out at Kentucky, blocked my shot at the three-point line, and I think windmill dunked it on the way down the court. And that was not uncommon for us.
Oh, yeah. That's all right.
But,
Hey, but
we
you had fun.
We made a splash for sure.
You developed a lot of character from those losses, right?
Exactly. 123.9 proof just to get away from my athletic career. On the Buckner's 13 bottle. Again, barrel number 13, bottle number 27. This, as you guys alluded to, made a bit of a splash in 2023. And I think in ways, not that we wouldn't have done what we're doing now on the timeline that we're doing it, but help launch us, put us in the spotlight when we submitted a couple bottles of one of these barrels to the San Francisco World Spirits Competition, which, I guess the anecdote is that they consider it like the Oscars of the spirits world in terms of competition and award shows. And so, we're super fortunate to get a call one day, somebody from the awards asking us who in the heck we were, and letting us know we should keep an eye on our inboxes. And so getting told that we were being judged in a category that was filled by household names, right? Brent Blanton, straight from the barrel. Elijah Craig, 18. Brands like that we've all been drinking forever, that we've hunted forever, and now all of a sudden, a 13-year that we sourced and bottled as our own, but vetted the process of submission, vetted the process of what we're going to bottle as what, was holding court with some of those bottles, and they said, if you're not considering coming to Vegas for this competition award show, you might want to consider that, because we didn't know. Right. Mm-hmm. We knew that we had gotten double gold, which is what they tell you up front, which puts you into certain award categories. The first one being best single barrel, 11 years and older. Right. And I think at that point it was us and EC18. And so being live in Las Vegas, dressed to the nines with our group of founders. At the time, a couple of the only full-time employees, they flew us out, paid for us to be there. put us up at the resort, footed the bill for everything, super generous of them. Wow. And to get to spend that time with the people who brought this brand to life and the people who brought those barrels to Augusta was really cool. What was cooler is we were at the award show when first we were announced as Best Single Barrel 11 year and older. We'd won. Okay, holy cow, that's completely unexpected. Right. We're honored. What a pivotal moment for our company. Not even really thinking that the very next category was Bourbon of the Year. And so all of the class winners, going up against each other for Best Bourbon in the World 2023. And I think we had barely gotten back to our table after getting the award for Best Single Barrel 11 years and older. They started announcing, who was in this category. And then at the end, it was Zach from Uprocks was his big booming voice. Augusta Distillery. And we're all like, no, it was a mistake, right? Yeah. No way you meant to say that.
Like that Steve Harvey thing where
he reads this universe, right?
Yeah.
We're worried that it's going to get ripped out of our hands. No. But we got on stage again, accepted that award. And I think that changed a lot of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you go from
Matt has a Bugatti now,
I think my 05 runner's still smoking in Mark's driveway. So we made it.
We called the tow truck earlier. My wife already called the tow truck. Sorry, man. Yeah.
Perfect. No, but it does change. It's super. It's humbling, and then you have this moment of realization where you're like, all right, it's time to get back to work.
Yeah.
Let's do something. Let's be good stewards of this good fortune. For sure. Lightning in a bottle.
Yeah, that's good to hear that you didn't just like hang the hat and
rest on your laurels.
Yeah, brag about it. You were just
time to sell, boys.
We're time to buckle down. No,
that's right.
Time to buckle down. It's time to hire. It's time to
show
put ourselves out as a brand.
Show everybody this is what we've got.
For sure. Like that, that could be the only time that ever happens.
Right.
That's for a lot of distillers, it's a once in a lifetime experience. Mm-hmm. The goal is to make sure it's not the only time.
Right.
That happens for us, right? Yeah. We want to be more than a contender. We want to be a leader in these categories that we're in.
Mm-hmm. Well, you obviously did it, man. So that's impressive, man. So was that the first time out? Was that your first submission?
That was our first ever submission. Yeah.
Wow.
And then they're like, fuck that table. Let's wipe it clean.
You're gonna be like, don't be like me with the barleycorn and the Ascot Award. It's like
that's
we
right.
got double gold, double platinum, and I'm never submitting it. It's like, we got the highest award. Both
got our awards.
We're
hang it up.
Retired now.
Yep.
Now we know. Because how gratifying would it be someday? Because it's not our distillate that won. We know that. We never.
Right.
We would never try to tell people that.
Right.
But it's our palate. So what we're asking now is, okay, we want you to trust that we know what the best bourbon in the world tastes like, and that we're going to do everything we can to replicate that flavor in the bottles that will soon be coming off of Augusta's own line.
So Matt, let me ask you this: you said something earlier. You said contract. So do you have people actually contract distilling for you right now, or are you guys?
I think there's one mash bill that is contracted that I cannot disclose.
That's fine. No, you'd mentioned that, so I just wanted to make sure that I heard you correctly. I wasn't drunk and just made that up. Like Augusta's contract distilling.
Speaking of, we haven't even talked about the nose on that.
Well, you know what, Matt? We've been having a conversation. I don't know what you've been doing, but we've been talking.
Sorry, you creature of habit there.
Why don't you tell us what you pick up on the nose, Matt?
Why don't you tell us what you pick up on the nose?
This is, man, I'm telling you, this is so good. This is everything that I want in a bourbon. This is the fruit. This has, to me, it has like that cherry aroma. It has the brown sugar. It has that toasted kind of aroma to it as well. It has a little hint of leather to it. Everything, man, when you hit that 13 to 15 year on a bourbon, if they're aged, if they've matured the right way, this is what it should.
They prefer the term mature.
Yeah, that's why I changed that. I didn't say aged. I said aged, and then I switched it to matured. So as long as the maturation process has been done appropriately, this is what you should expect. And this doesn't happen all the time, obviously. That's why you guys were the best bourbon in the world with this. This hits every note. So it reminds me of some things, and I'm not even going to throw out things that it reminds me of, but it reminds me of some things that I've had. But man, That's so good. Yeah. Now I'm disappointed I never got a bottle of it. Anyway, so
Listen, I tell you, the last time I found a bottle, it wasn't this bottle, obviously, but the last time I found a bottle, I was on my way to Louisville, and I stopped at a gas station in LaRange, Kentucky. And lo and behold,
they had seriously,
because they had a small liquor store attached to this guy. It was called a Fast Lane.
Oh man.
And it was 1 or 2 bottles. I bought one.
But now the thing is, these are single barrels.
Exactly.
So, I mean, obviously from barrel to barrel, there's going to be fluctuation, but still, even though this wasn't the one that won the award, it's still, I mean, this is still just the quintessential aged bourbon to me. So now, Matt, can I throw it to you? Is it okay?
Yeah. Mark, I think you said something really great there in that.
I did?
Yeah.
Wait, write that down. Matt
like
said.
For a 13-year-old or an older bourbon, not every one of them is like this. Like not every single one will have these great, like perfect-ish bourbon notes. Not everything achieves this. And it really is great. It's super well-rounded. It's bright, fruity. There's great cherry. There's great stone fruit. There's great barrel influence, but certainly not overly tannic. Not too much oak on the nose. There's leather, tobacco. It's just really smooth. It has like just this complete nose.
Yeah.
Like everything is there that you want. Nothing is out of balance. Nothing overshines everything else. It just,
Perfect.
it's, like you said, Mark, it's rare that an older bourbon reaches this point, and this one really does.
Yeah. Chad, what do you think, man? He's double checking his notes. What I write down here.
I am. Well, I mean, I think you guys really both nailed it, but I'm hoping Matt agrees with me because he and I have both spent some time, and he spends more time there than I do at Revival. But this has like that dusty oak and floral note that you kind of get off some of these off bourbons or just whiskey in general. Distilled, vintagey, so 25 plus or whatever the scope is. Tons of sugars, confectionery sugars. You get a sweet tea note. So I get like just Southern style sweet tea, like Louisiana, like just drop the bag in there. It's warm tea.
Put it out in the
sugar
sun. Let the sun
sun
just
tea.
sun tea.
Yeah. It's got some nice maple to it.
Yeah.
Getting the cherry, getting tons of like raisiny grape notes on there. But I mean, this is one of the reasons why like I was hyping this, on the podcast whenever we were doing crew episodes and bringing these over, is because like these 13-year-old barrels that are coming out of there are like really special, and like just the way they nose, like, what is it, 123.9 proof. It's very inviting. It's very crisp. It's almost got like an effervescence to it, like at first, but then like you get hit with that floral, dusty oak and all those confectionery sugars that really just kind of like soften it up and just keep going.
Yeah, nice. Matt, what about you?
Yes.
Yeah. There you go.
Now, I've always
Ditto.
I've always felt like 13-year gives me like as if I was having cherry cobbler for breakfast.
Yeah.
So some cherry cobbler, some vanilla, some maple, lots of maple, but almost like bourbon can give off a meaty note.
Yeah.
So like a breakfast sausage. Seriously, like I'm thinking
a
like
little savory. Yeah.
Savory
it's got a
notes.
savory note.
Sure.
And it's got there's like a sage or
Yes.
Tastes like real country bourbon ought to.
That's so fun. I don't want to jump ahead here. That's so funny. But when we get to the palate, I just wrote down savory finish.
Yeah.
When we get there, but
When we get there, I was like, damn it, we've not even gotten there yet, have we?
It's just funny that you brought that up.
Yeah,
Matt.
And it's something that I
notes.
have obviously had this a lot more than most. Been very fortunate to have it a lot more than most.
Yeah.
So like I've had time to stew on this and be like, okay, I want to be able to talk about these things ad nauseum with people and impart a little bit of influence on their palate, because we all want to taste what each other is tasting. That's why we talk about it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's why you share your tasting notes, is so I can now experience, a little bit of what Chad and what Matt and what Mark are saying about it.
Yeah, man. All right, so you guys, you call yourselves Bourbon Centric, like the website, is Bourbon Centric. Can you talk a little bit about that?
I would love to.
Please, come on, tell us about that.
So bourbon centric, right? It is not bourbon exclusive. So for us, what we're doing at Augusta Distillery is bourbon centric, meaning it's bourbon as I like to say, and there's a whole lot that lies within that and. It's bourbon and small town living. It's bourbon and the beauty of the Ohio River Valley. It's bourbon and elevating the community around us by being good stewards of Augusta, Kentucky, It's bourbon and the equine industry. Where our rick houses are being built right now, there are horse trails that are open to the public.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Maybe someday there's Augusta Distillery stables where you can come, drop your horses off, have a distillery experience, ride the trails, and then stay overnight. It's bourbon and overnight stays with the Augusta Guest House, which is a 10-room historical location. You know, it's been many things over the years. It was my first job in high school. I was a server at the buffet there.
Really?
But you know, now it's a more modern 10-room, you know, with themed rooms, bed and breakfast style Airbnb. So a little bit of that contactless with a little bit of that close to home feel.
Wait, and that's open?
It's already there. It's open.
And that's
it's
in
available
Augusta?
right now. It's in Augusta. Absolutely.
Bourbon Life
the
road
Augusta
trip.
Guest house. Absolutely. No, yeah. Let's talk. Let's plan
Which
that.
room do you want
That's
to share,
session
Mark?
4. I suggest the Buckner's suite.
yeah.
It's bourbon and the Augusta Beehive Tavern,
Okay.
right? Which is that
Right.
historical
Yeah, right.
tavern
Okay.
that Lance and Alani Bates renovated and put their heart and souls into to be a meeting place. You could say it was the first tasting room for Buckner's 13 before the distillery ever opened its doors. It's bourbon and philanthropy. You know, to date, the distillery has raised tens of thousands of dollars already for the Augusta Independent School Foundation,
Nice.
which has allowed the school that I graduated from, that my late father was a board member at for 15 years, has allowed them to invest in technology, has allowed scholarships to happen. We recently, along with the Cincinnati Reds Community Fund, actually worked to renovate the baseball field to make it more usable during the spring, which is a high flood season in Augusta on the part of town where that baseball diamond sits. So they're going to have a baseball diamond where they can actually play a full season of home games and not have to worry about traveling for every single game. Yeah. So that's what it means by bourbon centric. You know, we are wholly bourbon. We will not produce things that are not bourbon, but there's so much more to this company, to the reputation we're looking to earn for ourselves than bourbon.
Very cool. Well, man, let's cause gosh, we're almost at
But
the end
I
already.
imagine you've seen
Matt's
quite
shut
a
up,
bit
Mark.
grow within Augusta already, right? I mean, as the distillery's grown, people are not just coming for your experience; they want to get something to eat in town, or they want to, like, you know, travel and see some farmers markets or
100%.
craft goods. And this has got to be such a great thing to do for the community.
You know, people come to the distillery, but they stay for the Rosemary Clooney Museum. You know, what formerly was one of her homes is now transformed, and you've got the costumes from White Christmas and from that one football movie that George did. I forget what it's called right now, but where they wore the leather heads.
Oh, yeah, leather.
That's right,
Yeah.
leather heads. I was going to say the leather helmets.
I was at that premiere.
You know, it's coming to the distillery, but having breakfast at the general store or grabbing pizza at Carrada's, which has been around since the 80s and 90s. You know, it's about all those things. It's going to Nina Clooney's antique store where she's selling off family heirlooms, it seems sometimes. You know, it's that kind of thing.
Yeah,
you know? It's special. It's special.
That's awesome. That's great to hear the bourbon and what it really means to you all to make yourselves part of the community and make the community part of yourselves.
Yeah, very, very cool. So, guys, well, no, we don't want to talk about the palate and the finish because we got so much other stuff to talk about. Gosh, we got so deep into this before anyway. So let's talk about the future. Let's look at that. But now, wait, before I do that, though, you do picks, right? Already.
Of course.
Yeah. Because I was like, I didn't know. I thought you did. I was like, we should do a pick.
TBL pick coming soon.
TBL pick. I think so. And then we're going to stay the night at the bed and breakfast.
You should.
That's right.
I see
Bring the entire crew along. We all sleep in one bed. You know?
Like Charlie in the
Record an
Chocolate
episode
Factory.
in one room.
No, like
Single mic style.
Charlie in the Chocolate Factory, right?
In your PJs.
In your PJs, yeah. I've got some bourbon PJs. I'll break those out for one episode. So let's look at the future. Let's talk a little bit about what's going on, what that looks like for you and also for the brand, though.
Yeah, definitely. So, you know, I think I said earlier, we're probably 60 to 90 days out from the first legal distillate to come out of that part of the Ohio River Valley. You know,
Right.
But we'll be laying down those barrels very soon. It seems like it's going to be tomorrow, honestly, is what it feels like. Every day I wake up and I feel like, okay, it must be today, right?
Yeah.
So that's going to happen. But obviously, with us putting our stake in the ground as a producer and bottler of, at minimum, 8 years, always single barrel, always cask strength, always unfiltered, we've got some time. In the meantime, we've sourced quite a few barrels to get us through the
you're
next
covered.
8 to 10 years. We're
Okay.
covered.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask you about.
What people need to understand is that means 2032 is the earliest possible distilled on premise.
Sure.
Augusta liquid.
That doesn't mean that you can't try it at younger statements in the guest
But
experience.
no, I'm saying but on the retail shelf.
Sure,
out to
on the
market,
retail shelf, yes.
2032.
Yeah, so there will be
Put in
that
your
You
transitional
got a new brand
period.
ambassador right here.
Listen, I would hire Chad in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
I don't want to get into that. So I'm not going to try to steal him away from anybody.
Do you need an attorney? Wait, can you?
Yeah,
Can I be your social media guy? I do.
So
that.
at the basic level, from a product standpoint, that's what that looks like, right?
Yeah.
Distillation starting then, with our own distillate transitioning into the retail space, 8 to 10 years.
Gotcha.
As for the physical space in Augusta, we like to quote 3 or 5 years on what we'll have, which will be what we'd like to think is going to be a world-class experience that's going to include culinary experiences, a branch off of the Augusta Beehive Tavern. Maybe it's tapas, beautifully backlit bar, a lot of bottles. It looks like an event space. It looks like...
Did you say topless?
Yes, yes. With cigars,
Speaking of cigars.
Speaking of which.
Yeah, so we do have a partnership already in place with a family-owned tobacco farm. It's the Cummins Family Farm, about 3 miles outside of Augusta. Tobacco has been Kentucky's crop for generations, and a lot of those tobacco farmers and those families have transitioned into cigar tobacco production. So the Cummins Family Farm is contracted by a company to grow Connecticut broadleaf, which is the tobacco used to wrap cigars. So what we have, and we haven't officially launched this yet, so to consider this a Bourbon Life
exclusive. Wow. Breaking news. Breaking news.
Very soon, and we've demoed this a few times and are about to do a content demo of it. But you can roll your own cigars with locally grown tobacco
That'd be cool.
at Augusta Distillery and go home with it.
Yeah, that'd be nice. I'd do that.
So, pretty unique, rustic experience, utilizing locally grown agriculture, and amplifying the land around us, because it's beautiful, fertile land that has been grown on and been cultivated for so many generations.
Is that the goal with the distillery too, for grains? Once you guys do your own to source?
That'll probably be an effort between us and working with the local farmers to see what scale we can get some local corn produced at, some local grains produced at, because obviously, as you know, it takes a lot. So, I shouldn't speak to whether that's guaranteed to happen, but I know that it's been a conversation, and it's something that we hope to be able to do at some point.
Yeah,
for
very
sure.
Cool.
Think outdoor amphitheater for live music. Think pickleball on site for recreation. Think a vast yard where people can gather, linger, and be on Augusta time, which is on average a little bit slower than most places. And it's a beautiful thing.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. No doubt about it. Well, guys, let's talk about the whiskey, because we're at the end of round 3 almost, but we need to talk about the palate and the finish. What do you pick, Chad? What do you pick up?
So for me, the palate is very similar to the nose once again. Same dusty brown sugar oak notes with a little bit of florality to it. It's got a nice cherry, syrupy undertones, so it's very fruity. Also getting the same like sweet tea and maple, but there is like this savory, earthy note. So I know we talked about it on the nose a little bit ago, but whenever he said like a breakfast sausage, I had taken a sip and I got like a sage like note, which Matt had just taken a drink as well and said savory. So there's a little bit of this savoriness to it. But I mean, love the 13 year. I think they've done a fantastic job on it. Clear reason why they've won the awards they have with it, and a great product.
Yeah, for sure. Matt, what about you, man?
Definitely has the drinks like the older bourbon, some of those cherries, the oaks and tobaccos really come through. There's a sweetness that's like a smoked maple wood. It's coming across, like there is a smoky note in it that I'm picking up.
Kind of campfire-y.
Yeah, very much so campfire-y. Kind of like cinnamon raisin toast, a little bit too with the palate. And then like the savory finish that Chad was talking about, it's almost like rendered beef fat, or like fat off of a steak, where you kind of get those like rich beefy flavors that Matt was talking about, but in the best way possible. Just like really, really great.
Yeah. I love the fact that the nose and the palate really match up so well. I mean, and it's just that consistency throughout, from nose to palate to finish. It's nothing, like Matt said earlier, nothing stands out. Nothing, is out of balance. Everything is just there, and you get all these different flavors and aromas that come through at the same time, and it's all these, like you said, that kind of dusty kind of bourbon notes and aromas and flavors. Man, damn, I'm so upset. I know.
I wish it wasn't empty. I wish I could have brought a full one.
I'm telling you, man.
I'm in the same boat as you. I wish I wouldn't have missed this when I was balking at the price of it.
I know. I should have listened to that dude at Bourbon Con. It was like, Buckner's is great. I'm like, what the is Buckner's? I don't even know what you're talking about.
Then I came around like 4 months later saying the same thing.
I know. So, Matt, what about you? What do you get on the palate and finish on this one?
So all of those things, because for me, this is probably the most complex palate on a whiskey that I've had before, and it holds up because of when you work in the industry, you drink a lot of different bourbons. You don't just drink your own, and so and obviously I look around, the studio here, Mark, and I see
a bottle or
everything.
Only a large drink barrel proof,
But I would say the one thing that has always stood out to me on this, and it stood out to me on the first edition Old Route 8 as well, being the same mash bill, cherry cola.
Oh yeah.
Like almost like a slightly flat cherry cola.
Yeah.
And that's just been something I've consistently gotten, because an afternote I get on a lot of these too is like, say I finish these off and the Glen is dried a bit. I get really intense, like not lit cigar, but like dry, unlit cigar, uncut cigar tobacco, like from the dry. It's like super present. But mid palate of this, it's like intense cherry cola.
Yeah.
I think that's so fun.
Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. It's great. So, Matt, what has been for you personally your favorite part of this journey so far?
Man, being more
don't
engaged.
Cry. Don't cry. You made it through the show, man.
I've done
don't
well.
Cry.
Don't cry.
So
Don't pie either.
That's right. Don't. Yeah. He obviously there's no pie. Yeah. No pie. But don't cry.
Being more engaged with the town that made me who I am, for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Sure. I love that.
And I know that doesn't have anything to do with what we're tasting, but it's been the best to see people, to see old friends, to see people who, I knew when I was in high school. And to know that even if just seeing me attached to the brand builds a little more trust in what Augusta is doing, that's going to make a ton of difference. Yeah, for sure. It's important to me.
That's awesome. So, where can people get more information about the brand and find your products?
Yeah, so AugustaKYDistillery.com is our website. Very straightforward. No green jackets where we're from. Maybe green shirts, right? But no green jackets. No golf tournaments in Augusta. Although maybe like a mini putt tournament would be fun.
I can see that happening.
That's where boys become men right there, is on the mini putt course.
God, it's old Washington.
That's our website. You can follow us at that, same Augusta KY Distillery on social media, wherever you get your social media from.
Whether it's noon or night, whatever.
Right. All of those multiple things.
Yeah.
And you can always just pick up the phone and call. All of the contact information.
I've got Matt's cell. I'll give it to you guys.
Yeah, we will give you the direct line to the sales.
I'm happy to give out my Venmo on here. I can use some gas money to get back to Augusta.
Do you want to? I mean, if people want to follow you on Instagram,
you're more than welcome to. I love talking to people all day. So it's just at Matt Drinks Bourbon,
and he does
pretty basic. I do drink bourbon. I do be doing that. Shameless plug. Give me a follow. Let's just talk. Let's talk about bourbon. Let's talk about life. As cliche as it probably sounds, I genuinely care about like everybody in this industry and everybody who supports this industry. It's really important.
Yeah.
And the world we live in is wild. So reach out, whether it's about bourbon or anything else.
And this is the one thing that brings us all together. Well, I was talking to somebody about that earlier today, as a matter of fact. It doesn't matter who you are, where you're from, what you believe. I mean, if you're a bourbon fan, you're a bourbon fan.
For sure.
It doesn't matter. And it makes us all equal, right? So that's part of the reason I love it so much and love doing this, man, because it just brings us all together, right?
Definitely.
So, all right, guys, final thoughts. We're at the end. We've run over, man. So, but that's all right. But that's all right. It happens, all right? So, final thoughts, Matt. What do you got?
What a treat. Matt, thanks for coming down. Thanks for spending the time with us. Really great to get you on the show. I know we've been talking about it for a while. Super down to earth. It's just been a super chill night. Really enjoyed what you shared with us, hearing this story and just seeing your connection to your hometown and being able to give back to everything.
Yeah, for sure.
Taking pride in it, and it's cool to see. I think the world needs more of that. More people that really believe in what they do, believe in themselves, and believe in their past and their present, their future.
You're going to make me cry now.
Oh, man,
There it is.
here we go.
It's coming.
Chad,
Thank you.
if we can tear you away from your phone long enough.
Sorry, I was trying to edit a photo of social media later.
He's got the gram, man. He's doing it for the gram.
Prepping for gramming. No, happy you guys invited me, even though there's under the false pretense I get to share a hometown favorite dessert with you guys.
Pie, man.
But, you
Thanks,
know,
Matt.
the world knows what Skyline is. They know what Grippos are. They will know what transparent pie is.
That's right.
Yes.
Someday we'll rule the
Someday
world.
they will know. No, happy to be here. I'm glad it was part of his contract for me to come on here and hang out with him. I've had a great time tonight.
And no brown M&Ms was the other term. He's like, no brown M&Ms, and Chad has to be on
I
that.
don't know that reference.
Who was that? Who's staging? Was that?
there was
Molly Crew. It was
Van
Molly.
Halen.
Was it?
No, it was Van Halen. Yeah,
Van
see,
Halen.
I thought it was.
to see if the venues were reading their
To see if they'd
contract.
read
They
their
would say
contract.
no brown M&Ms.
Yeah, bowl of M&Ms, no brown.
No
And
brown.
if they
Yeah.
seen brown, they know
Oh, yeah.
they know they didn't read the contract. If they didn't see
And
brown
they'd walk
M&Ms,
out. They wouldn't play.
They wouldn't play. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
100%.
Oh yeah, man. No brown M&Ms. I got that in your contract. Man, I got it. I
That's
got
hilarious.
it. And Chad had to be on the show too.
Yeah, it's a shame that I knew that and you didn't.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
But I was a Van Halen fanboy when I was a kid, so
You weren't?
I was.
Oh, I was gonna say, please tell me you. Yeah, man.
And then I preferred David Lee Roth with Steve Vai as a guitar after Van Halen.
Where did Whitesnake fit in that?
with their one hit.
Okay.
Yeah.
One hit. What are you talking about? One hit. They had multiple hits, dude.
Maybe
Don't
this
even think
Oh, God.
we're not-
Yeah, save that one for round 4 here. Lee.
dude. Are you
Maybe
serious?
during your time, but on VH1 they had one hit.
I'm going to
Anyway,
get the boxing gloves for
Matt.
the Patreon
Yes.
round here.
before this turns really ugly, really fast, and I have to beat down somebody for dissing Coverdale and his buddies, man. Anyway, thanks for being on. Final thoughts before you wrap it up here.
You know, you guys are doing an incredible thing for this industry, and I mean that. And that's, you know, across this industry, there's so many amazing people, and for you to be able to feature us like this is super special. You know, I would say to those listening, if you're interested in products, other than reaching out, you can always ask your local retailer as well.
Yeah.
That goes a long way for a brand like ours, is saying, hey, do you have anything from Augusta? Because when they know that you've caught on to what's happening in our neck of the woods, that gives them reason to believe in us as well.
Yeah.
So spread the gospel, and we look forward to seeing you at the retail shelf, but even more importantly in Augusta, Kentucky.
Yeah, for sure. Well, Matt, thanks a lot, man. We met each other probably maybe a year ago, something
Yeah,
like
I
that.
think so.
Yeah. So I've enjoyed getting to know you, man.
Yeah.
It's just been a lot of fun. And I appreciate you coming and joining us today in person. I'm glad it
This
worked
is
out with your
so
schedule,
fun.
man.
Yeah.
So that you got to be here live in the Bourbon Life Studios.
So special.
You
So
know?
special.
Otherwise known as Mark's Basement.
Oh, thank you, Matt, for
You're welcome.
throwing that in there.
Got a
Appreciate
future
that.
episode. I might need to crash on that. Those couches look comfy. So
We used to record on those.
know, we're-
when we first,
Yeah.
no, seriously.
the big
That's
comfy
the first
couch.
place I sat.
When
Yeah.
we first started, we'd set up like four stand mics, and we would just, like I sat in the rocking chair, and Matt and everybody else would sit in the other, on the sofas.
It almost felt like Mark was reading us like a bedtime story. He got in his rocking chair.
He's got the voice for it.
Yeah.
He's got the voice
It
for it.
really
Like,
did.
yeah.
It really, he'd have his slippers on, and we would all be sitting on like the couches. Like,
Yeah.
Well, we got our
Come on,
slippers
Mark.
on. Matt brings his slippers too. We all wear our slippers, man. It's funny. So,
Did the Grinch really save
what was
Christmas?
the movie Scrooge? I don't know if you remember that.
It's a
but
great
the,
one.
The old
Absolutely.
man. I can't remember his name. That's like narrating the
Yes.
lives.
Yes.
Yeah, that was me sitting in the rocking
love
chair,
that.
like I was in my smoking jacket, And
I think you need a
Never-
Christmas episode where everybody's in matching
pajamas.
Christmas pajamas.
Yeah. We get the fireplace
I was gonna
over
say, get
there,
the
man.
fire over it.
Yeah, man. That's Matt's hangout over there in front of the fireplace. But Matt, thanks for being here, man. We really appreciate it. It's been a lot of fun. And thanks for
thank you,
bringing,
Matt.
and thank you, Matt, for being here too. I mean,
Thank you, Mark.
No, thanks for bringing these special drinks, man.
Yeah.
You guys are doing a great job.
Appreciate it.
Super excited. Hopefully, Matt and I, and Chad, he's already been there, but we've not. So we definitely need to come up and
Do a TBL
You've got
trip.
the number.
Not yet.
Yeah,
Not yet. We haven't been there.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Crusoe live from Augusta. Have you ever done a live one?
We have, yeah, we actually have, man. So we got the resources, man. I got a nice big speaker system that puts out, like my ex-girlfriend. No, I'm just. we can set anything up, and we can record anywhere, man. We're mobile, so we can make it happen. So, all right, Matt, thanks for being here, man. Appreciate
Thanks for
it.
having
Look
me.
forward to having you back on the show again. And so let's see. I guess I need to close out the show, don't I? So we're the Bourbon Life Podcast presented by Liquor Barn. So we appreciate Liquor Barn and all of our sponsors. Thank you guys for everything you do. And like Matt says to our listeners, whatever time of day it is, morning, noon, or night, whenever it is you get your Bourbon Life fix. We appreciate you guys joining us. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Bourbon Life, and join our private Facebook group, The Bourbon Lifers. We'd love to have you guys join us there. We have some fun conversations in there. So check that as well. If you'd like to email us, you can do that at thebourbonlife@gmail.com, as long as it's positive things. So we don't want to hear negative things. But if you feel so inclined, please leave us a review on your favorite podcasting platform. Oh, and check out our buddy Mike doing the whiskey trip, Big Chief, doing his thing. He's going to be
Big Tex.
Big Tex. He's going to be down at the New Orleans Bourbon Festival here in a couple of weeks. He's going to be doing like 2 different seminars down there. So if you're in New Orleans for the Bourbon Festival, check out Big Chief. He'll be down there. We will not be down there, unfortunately, Matt, because we're not important enough to be invited yet.
Yes.
But we're gonna work on that for 2025. We're gonna try to make that happen. But thank you guys for listening. We really appreciate all your support. And with that said, I'm going to wrap it up. Send us home with our tagline, which is, may your glasses always be full, and may you keep on living the Bourbon Life.
Cue the violin.
Thank you for joining us for this week's episode of the Bourbon Life Podcast. Our mission at the Bourbon Life is simple: to share our passion for all things bourbon with you every week. And we'd really love to hear your thoughts on how we're doing. You can find us on Instagram and Facebook at The Bourbon Life. You can also contact us by email at thebourbonlife@gmail.com. And you can always find us on your favorite podcast platform. If you have a moment, we'd love it if you would rate us and give us a review. So until next week, we hope your glass is always full and that you keep on living the Bourbon Life.
Welcome to the kitchen table at James B. Beam Distilling Company, where every visit is a celebration of tradition and flavor. Did you know that the kitchen table is nestled right within the heart of the distillery? That's right. You can experience the essence of James B. Beam's legacy while savoring their delectable dishes. Join them every Wednesday through Sunday from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. for a culinary journey like no other. Planning a special event? Let the kitchen table be your host, creating unforgettable memories for you and your guests. And don't miss their exclusive Behind the Beam tour and monthly Claremont Supper Club events, which will feature the last drop of 2023 special releases at the March 21st event this year. For more information and reservations, visit beamdistilling.com. The kitchen table at James B. Beam Distilling Company. Come as a friend, leave as family. Embrace the new year with a new style of whiskey. Keeper's Hard Irish American Whiskey, crafted by a legendary Irish distiller, is a unique blend of smooth Irish whiskey and bold American whiskey that has garnered over 130 awards in just 2 short years. And with St. Patrick's Day just around the corner, there's never been a better time to enjoy it. Perfectly suited for sipping neat, on the rocks, or in your Patty's Day cocktails. Personalize the label for free on their website and use code St. Patrick's for 17% off your order on keepersheartwhiskey.com now through St. Patrick's Day.